Okay, boys and girls, it is time to complete another boom card activity. Once this video is complete, you will click here to watch the video on how to access your boom cards and also a review of quotation marks. Boys and girls, if you are watching this video, leave a private comment to your teacher with the code word rancher. If you do so, you will get a secret prize once you are back in the building from your teacher. All right, now let's jump in. Let's click here to access our boom cards. You'll see that your entire class loads, and it is up to you to find your name and click on it. You will be then asked to verify your account. Remember, if you need to type in a login or a password, it is just the same information you type into your Chromebook. You will scroll down and see the activities to complete for today. Today, you'll be working on quotation marks. Let's go ahead and click this boom card activity to load. Okay, boys and girls, the first couple slides are review. I'll go through them with you. Quotation marks, task cards. Quotation marks. Quotation marks are used to convey a direct quote. There are rules about the placement of quotation marks in sentences. Read the following cards to learn more about the placement and use of quotation marks. Quotation marks rule number 1. Use quotation marks at the beginning or the end of a sentence when a direct quote is used. Examples. "Please wash your hands," said Mom. The quotation marks are at the beginning around just the words that Mom is saying. Another way to write this is, Mom said, "Please wash your hands." The quotation marks are at the end, going around just the words that Mom says. And in both cases, that is, "Please wash your hands." Quotation marks rule number 2. Use quotation marks to share a word-for-word phrase. These phrases can be borrowed from any source. Example, the newscaster explained how the heat wave caused massive problems for farmers across the state. The quote is going around the text from the source, which is caused massive problems for farmers across the state. Remember, we don't want to plagiarize or steal somebody else's hard work, so we put quotation marks around it. And in this case, we do so to give the newscaster some credit. Quotation marks rule number 3. Use quotation marks for the titles of book chapters, journal articles, magazine articles, song titles, and newspaper articles. Examples. "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" is one of my favorite songs. Notice the quotation marks go around the title, "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." Quotation marks rule number 4. If a quote comes at the end of a sentence, the period goes before the end of the quotation mark. Remember, all punctuation goes inside of the quotation marks. Let's take a look at the example. Bob's teacher said, "If you don't get to school on time, you must go to the office to get a tardy pass." Notice this period at the end is inside or before the last quotation mark. Quotation marks rule number 5. If a quote comes at the beginning of the sentence, place a comma before the end quotation mark. And again, this comma goes inside the quotation marks. Example, "Please take off your shoes when you come into the house," requested Dad. Notice that the comma goes inside of the quotation marks, and this comma is used to separate the dialogue that Dad is actually saying from the describing words that tell us who is doing the talking. please note that if Dad was asking a question or showing lots of excitement, a question mark or exclamation point would be used instead of the comma, but still inside of the quotation marks. Quotation marks rule number 6. A question mark goes after the end of a quotation mark unless the quote is a question. So let's take a look at these two examples. I actually want to look at the bottom one first. Dad asked, "Do you like that song?" Question mark and then quotation mark. That's because Dad is actually asking a question. But in the above example, have you ever heard the Beatles song, "Hey Jude"? Quotation mark, then question mark. Oh, I know why. That's because Hey Jude is the title of a song. And a question mark isn't a part of the title. So that is why the quotation mark comes before the question mark in that case. Quotation marks rule number 7. Direct quotes use quotation marks, while indirect quotes do not use quotation marks. Let's take a look at an example. Direct quote. "Watch out!" yelled Gavin. Now, Gavin is actually saying the words, "watch out." We are quoting him directly. But an indirect quote is describing what someone says. The example here, Gavin told us to watch out. Here, we are recalling what Gavin said to us, but we're not actually quoting him directly. All right, all done. Now, boys and girls, you will have more slides after this to answer questions. The reason why they're not showing up here is because when I was using this account earlier, I had already answered them. Just remember that when you answer the questions, Boom cards will automatically tell you whether or not you are correct. If you get an answer correct, wonderful job. If you get it incorrect, ask yourself why you could have gotten it incorrect and what the correct answer would be. Have fun on your Boom cards!